is the GMologist, GM extraordinaire, the GMologist.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Geomologist Presents. It's been some time, almost a month, but here is an episode that I recorded a while ago. And as you recall, Arlen Walker and I did a review of Chasm City by Alistair Reynolds. And we were originally going to have BJ Boyd, who I let borrow my book, read it and join us, but he was unable to at the time. However, we did get him back. So this is just a follow-up episode to Chasm City, a review. And it's called Chasm City Redo, which rhymes, obviously. And that'll be the episode for today. I do have some more content. I feel some interesting things that might be coming up. I don't know how it'll be received, but I've been we were watching, my wife and I were watching a program on the origin story. I don't know what else you call it. A documentary, I guess, on Iron Maiden, how they got started. And there was like 3 episodes or 4 episodes maybe, and it went all the way through to so what I think is their apogee, the Live After Death tour, right after the Power Slave studio album. So I decided to then listen to the albums in their entirety, the studio albums only. They have so many live albums as well. And right now I'm on number 11, which is Virtual 11. And it's been a pretty fun journey. I collected some. They're actually Virtual 10 and 11 I had never listened to their entirety, honestly. And I get into that if I decide to do a podcast on that. And it would just be like a series called Metal and Gaming. And maybe I'll do that with another band or just an album here or there. But anyway, that's what I have planned to do, as well as give you recaps and updates on the current campaigns and the state of things. So anyway, this one is not like that. This is just myself, BJ, and Arlen talking about Chasm City again. So I hope you enjoy. Thanks. So we have a call-in, sort of, from BJ Boyd of the Arcane Alienist. And with me to comment on his call-in live is Arlen Walker with me also. That's a pretty horrible introduction.
You guys are going to insult me to my face.
Yep.
Live stream. Live for us, not live for the audience.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. So
all of us
originally
are so combative, and
right.
We just need more aggression over the internet in our lives.
Right. So you could tell by Arlen's voice, right? He's very combative. He's that laid back personality and coolness that Arlen exudes. He has a very high cool score if we were playing Edge of Empire.
Yeah.
So anyway, BJ, I did introduce BJ to
who says Canadians are the most polite people. We're 2 Texans and an Okie, and we're very polite and very accommodating.
Yes. So I had actually let BJ borrow my book, my physical copy of Chasm City, and he read it. And he was going to join us for the discussion, but just circumstances. However, he is here to comment on it, and Arlen and I have an opportunity to respond. So go for it, BJ. What did you think of Chasm City?
So I knew nothing of Alistair Reynolds or his writing. He just handed me this book one time when we kind of met for dinner, and I said, okay, I'll read it. So I went into this with no kind of, expectations, yay or nay. So I overall I did enjoy this. I felt like the setting was particularly as he's kind of he's doing his world building. I don't know if I would have gotten a little more. I don't know if there are, because this was technically the second book in the overall series, but it's kind of a standalone. It's like he wrote it between the first and second of the actual tetralogy that he wrote. So I don't know if I had read the first book, if I would have picked up on some stuff that here. So I'm just guessing at that. but I felt like I had a little bit of a mixed reaction as I was going through it. But overall, I did enjoy it. I guess my first observation was I'll say kind of my critiques, but then I'll finish with what I like about it. And I guess we're doing spoilers, right?
Yes, full spoilers.
Okay. So I guess part of my reaction was how many 80s and 90s sci-fi movies can you cram into one meta plot? Because I felt like there were aspects of Total Recall, The Running Man, Predator, The Matrix,
Mm.
all kind of it's not that you don't repeat ideas or rip off stuff, and particularly when you get into science fiction, there's just some core concepts that you find in science fiction like space exploration, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, stuff like that. So, um, but
But
that was just kind of a humorous reaction. That's not a legitimate criticism I have of
I guess
the story.
I suggested you could make an action movie on of Chasm City that has those tropes.
You could. I think if there is a legitimate criticism of that based on that observation, is there was a lot in this book. I felt like this could have been three books. Um, between I guess there's distinct acts in the book, but you have like the whole hunt thing that seemed like an entire story in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
The
and then you had sort of his
Hamadryad hunt.
exploration of
Yeah.
his flashbacks. Um, that was kind of of course, I guess you can't have just a series of flashbacks. That's you got to break them up, right? But try to figure out, piece together his lost memories and why he's having these weird reactions to what he believes at first to be just engrammatic implants that he's gotten from this virus.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but when you sit back and look at it in the whole, and you're like, oh wow, it's kind of neat how these different plot lines overlap, foreshadow, and kind of synchronize with one another. Like just the casual introduction of I can't remember what they call it in the book. Where you basically can experience someone else's memory,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what they're trading in as far as kind of entertainment. And
Right.
but that's the same thing that the virus is supposedly doing to him. Is causing him to have the memories of this historical figure. Um, so of course he wouldn't at first go, well, that was weird. He would just kind of assume, well, that's just kind of the way this works, right?
Mm-hmm.
This can happen to anybody. It's just have this virus causing it for me now. So I did think that was pretty cool. But it was like there's just a lot going on. There were times where he filtered his world building through this sort of hard-boiled noir narrator character, which the one of the aspects of your classic noir hero is they're kind of hyper competent at everything.
Oh yeah, Tanner.
Um,
Yeah.
but you got Tanner like I think a prime example. Tanner is like his first really kind of taken into the city as he's descending from orbit, and he's immediately filling all these blanks of, well, the city must be this way because of the way this plague worked, and because it's just all this stuff that it would have made more sense if like he'd been being told that by a resident or someone who lived through it or someone who's kind of from there. But he's just immediately filling in all these blanks about the science and evolution and all this stuff, and like it's like, aren't you like a mercenary from a backwater planet? you know which it could be, though, in retrospect, the fact that that's actually Hausman is
Yeah.
capable of doing that, because that does seem like something that's in the ability of Hausman to do. But most of those points where he's doing that, he doesn't know he's Hausman. You don't really have any strong indication he's Hausman, and so it just seemed almost like a, well, that's not. He's kind of arrogant, is he, to just land on this planet and start like explaining how everything works. With that, you've been there 5 minutes, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
But that could just be my reaction to the world we live in today, and how many, I guess, people in the real world walk around arrogant enough to just think they can explain how reality works without having any kind of expertise or training. But anyway, um, that may be more about me than the book.
Yeah. So,
So,
Arlen, I think. Oh, go ahead.
go ahead, Arlen.
Well, I had a similar reaction, definitely, with some of there's a couple of places where it feels like he makes Tanner Hausman makes sort of intuitive leaps that are not totally founded, and that it feels like in a different story that would be an opportunity for him to be kind of wrong and paranoid, right? Like especially there's a
Yeah,
part kind of at like maybe not quite two-thirds of the way through where he's starting to put together that like the Querenbach, the guy who was the composer who was supposedly from another place and turns out to have been uh, a plant to try to
Hmm.
get him, and he starts to like put all that together and be like, oh, it must be because of, and his immediate reaction is, oh, it must be because it's from Ravitch, and he's got all this stuff that he's got planned out with this, and immediately is like connecting all of the dots, and that turns out to be correct. And I felt like in a different detective story, it's sort of a classic thing to have like multiple conspiracies going
Right.
on, and the
yeah,
character isn't
and
necessarily
and
correct
and it,
about how they're connected.
yeah, and it
And
blows up in their face, and they have to reassess.
Yeah, like if
yeah, I thought,
Kieran had really been a composer.
or even like Kernbach didn't have to be working for Ravitch. He
Right.
could be a plant who is part of the like criminal underground that's doing the dream fuel
Right.
stuff, because
Mhm.
he ends up being
Yeah,
related to that sort of side of the plot. And it would have been, I thought, interesting if uh Tanner had sort of thought that all of these things were connected and then been like, oh, actually, it turns out these are
Or
like
not. Yeah.
two separate criminal conspiracies that are both
Yeah.
messing with me. And similar with the
yeah,
game stuff, right? That he like thinks that he has just been chosen randomly, and then he's like, "Oh, I must not have been chosen randomly." And it felt like a place where like he could have still just been chosen randomly and
Randomly.
have gotten, connected with a another kind of thing happening in the
yeah,
world that wasn't necessarily connected to his
Were they
quest, basically.
yeah,
were they all connected though, or he just thought they were all connected? Maybe they
Well,
weren't.
that's what I'm saying, is that he acts like they're all connected, but it turns out that they basically all are.
Oh yeah.
yeah,
And that it
yeah,
was, I felt like it in a different story, we would have had the moment of him being like, oh, all these things are connected. And then,
The-
the kind of near the end story beat would be realizing that these conspiracies are not necessarily connected. They're just multiple kind of things happening in the shadows that he didn't kind of,
mhm.
his paranoia has connected them, that would have
Yeah.
been a different
yeah.
way to handle that.
I felt like something you guys touched on, that it really seemed like Zebra and Chantrell being separate characters was sort of unnecessary. It would have been a little more tight if it was just that they were just the same part.
Yeah.
Because he's too he has the super ability to make any femme fatale instantly,
Yeah.
kind
He's
of
got the
fall in
Bond.
love with them and
He's got the James
want
Bond
to help him, right?
ability. Yeah.
Yep.
Uh, um, I do think you did a very good job weaving throughout this notion of it, and it echoes in all the plot lines of um, can one thing become another thing? Like to what extent can one thing become another thing? And it begins with the life cycle of the Hamadryad. This is a an animal, this snake like animal that at the end of its life cycle effectively bonds with a plant and becomes a plant. But then it gives birth to the animal form of its species, and it just becoming one thing. And then you get the idea with the what do they call them? The kind of weird gothic uh, that kind of travel the stars and can give people body
Oh,
modifications
the
and implants and all
ultras.
Ultra.
that.
The ultras. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, which that really for some reason that made those guys made me think of the Chronicles of Riddick. Um,
A little
there's
bit.
another a movie to throw in there,
Yeah.
but I guess just because they were kind of very very again that kind of gothic feel to them. But
Gothic and decadent and long
uh,
lived. Long lived. Right.
yeah, 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 or almost like I almost kind of thought of Eldar from 40K as well a little
Mm.
bit.
Hmm.
Uh, but you've got them kind of sort of giving the implants, and you've got this idea that I've suppressed my own memory and put someone else's personality and memories in there as deep cover. Well, now who am I? Because now it feels like I'm both people at once.
Mhm.
And then you've got this, it's not the first time it's obviously happened to him, because they were talking about he was Sky Hausman, and then he was uh
Koicha or something.
yeah, Koiche, and then he was, a copy of Mirabelle, and then they all kind of ultimately merged into this new person.
Right.
And then you get in the idea of people having their personalities put into, you know, new bodies or just uploaded into like a matrix style,
Mhm.
virtual reality where they. So I think that there are a lot of aspects of, who is what. Um, and I think that first, I think I got one inkling of when he's staring at Mirabelle's body as he's going up the elevator, and he says something like, could that really be him? You can't really see him in any detail. That could be anybody, right?" And you're like, "Oh, is that guy still alive?" But then
Hmm.
it's only much later in the book that you realize, "Oh, wait a minute, he is that guy." That was I thought that was they pulled that off pretty well.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
When he sees like the
and then I
crucified
agree
mummy
with you
of
guys that the ending seemed a little bit rushed when they just it's like they all this tension builds up and then they just kind of show up and have a conversation and a gunfight with the main villain and it's
yeah.
over. Um, but that did involve a lot of that kind of classic misdirection and the protagonist and nor protagonist being wrong about his kind of theory.
Hmm.
Hmm.
There was some of that in there. So overall, I did like the book. There were moments where like I was like kind of like with Arlen, where like that things kind of took me out for a minute, but then I quickly re-engaged, and I felt like overall you do get a lot of interesting ideas. It's just a lot to take in. Like he's got several ways that you in this setting that you could explore that notion of, well, what who are you once you're able to like implant memories or implant a whole other identity or completely change your DNA or your physical structure. Are you still the same person? Are you something else? Where's the continuity in that, and where does it begin and end? I think that's a good exploration here, but sometimes it gets buried in the sheer amount of things going on to a certain extent. But I like the setting. I think it would be fun to read other novels. Like I wouldn't mind a sequel novel to this focusing on Mirabelle and what he gets up to
Yeah, I don't know.
next.
So there's this short story collection
Um,
called Beyond the Aquila Rift. So I don't know if he returns to Chasm City in any of those short stories. I have it, but I haven't read it. um, but but it talks about some of the characters in the Revelation Space
yeah,
trilogy.
Hmm.
And other
but
things. There's
but I
actually,
think like you had pointed out, Carl.
yeah,
Carl, I think like you pointed out, Revelation Space as a setting is ripe for like I was reading this all the time, going, oh well, okay, well there's another kind of thing that's going on in this setting. It's like we talk about travel. Traveler is kind of a has rules for all kinds of sci-fi stuff,
yeah,
and I was kind of thinking of parallels to Traveler as a game. It's like, oh well, you could, yeah, like you also have all the stuff in the Third Imperium. The default setting for Traveler. It's
mm,
somewhere out there, even if it's not on every single planet.
right,
Um,
yeah,
so yeah, overall, I liked it. I'm glad you recommended it to me, despite some of the criticisms I have of it. I think overall it's a good book, and I
yeah.
was glad
It's
you
a
asked
really
me to read
neat
it.
it's a really neat world. I've enjoyed. I feel like I need to read, like I mentioned to Arlen, I need to read Revelation Space trilogy again. I'm sure I missed a lot of stuff because, as you pointed out, there's so much going on. I mean, even the whole alien thing, right? And Arlen, we didn't even mention that like one of the messed up, um, the wafers that they use for the memory chips, right? Wafers that the people use for escape. One of them was the being a slug,
Hmm.
and that was like torturous. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah, it's a
So I do
fun.
have I I do have a philosophical question since we're all three here,
Mhm.
um, and just because this has kind of come up on some stuff I've been looking at separately from this, but how do you guys do? You feel like you've got the allusion to the some kind of super powerful. The slug calls them machines, and it's like, well, are they really machines, or is that just the best way of just this sort of power that they're all trying to stay off the radar of,
Yeah.
right? and I kind of wondered how much that when you think about the what is that theory of why we don't make contact with aliens,
Oh,
the
the Dark Forest
Fermi
trilogy.
paradox.
Oh,
Yeah,
I,
but there's the
Mm.
dark forest theory that kind of explains why, and I wonder there's kind of an illusion there of well, yeah, there's no guarantee that if you encounter an alien, it's not going to be dangerous to you. So everybody just tries to avoid one another out there.
mhm. Yeah, it's a concept that's common. I think Werner Vinge. Well, there's a different Werner Vinge. There are these godlike creatures out there that you don't want to get gain the notice of because then they just go on a rampage and destroy technology and advanced civilizations around them.
Yeah,
That's another that Werner Vinge's verse also does that kind of has a treatment of that. Godlike AIs basically. So I don't know if those
yeah,
machines what they are really. I That's another reason to reread Revelation Space and then finish out the tetralogy because
yeah,
I read the
yeah,
trilogy and then the other book came out later. But I
yeah.
might jump
The,
into the
the other thing,
short stories.
the other thing that wasn't always clear to me, what was clown? They talk about the space clowns that are also this other. There's some I can't. Is it in this book or if it's just somewhere else in the Revelation space uh,
The
mythology? But when we meet Clown, he's sort of this AI tutor for uh, young
oh right.
Sky Houseman. And then later, Clown shows up, and you're like, oh my gosh, Sky Houseman is crazy. He's hallucinating. And then
Mhm.
you're like, well, wait a minute. Is he hallucinating this clown character that was just his childhood companion that's not there anymore? Or was he hallucinating Clown when he was a child?
Oh yeah.
I don't know. I looking back, I don't think they ever mentioned
Yes.
his father acknowledging the existence of Clown.
No, I don't know. I think like you was something that you said that was pretty interesting about, this could have been several books. I mean, they could have had a whole
Yeah,
book on like on Sky's Edge in the sort of the Tanner, Mirabelle, Koicha, at the base of that love triangle, right? That
yeah,
sort of happened, but only in Tanner's mind. Anyway, and then or Gita, Koicha and Tanner triangle. And
Mhm.
then they could have had um, the passage across space, of the colony ships, right? That
yeah,
would be amazing set of tales and stories because there's gaps even in one Chasm City. There's gaps of time that could be explored and how things happened. I don't know if that's necessary, but then of course the main story. It's interesting. You could really have like three books out of this thing. Um,
yeah.
but then it's
I guess that
interesting
was
how they
that.
interweaves them.
Yeah. The other thing, I guess, the thing I just now remember that was kind of at the ending that I kind of threw me off was like we know that as his second identity. I never know how to exactly pronounce that. Is it a is it a Portuguese name?
It's kind of Spanish. I think I thought they were South American,
Or
maybe,
maybe
or Spanish. Yeah,
Yeah, the arms dealer. Okay.
but
Yeah, I think that's
Cahuela,
Coahuila. That's what I'm
yeah.
saying. Yeah, I was saying it different.
um,
But
Cahuela. Okay.
Coahuila. Yeah,
Yeah, he you see, you've got his sort of fixation on snakes,
yeah.
and then you start to piece together when you start to realize they're the same person is about the time they start to kind of explain what's going on with his eyes, and you're like, oh, he got his eyes adjusted to have the kind of
Snake eyes.
uh, the kind of heat vision that snake eyes,
Yeah.
Hmm.
the snake eyes do. That kind of just very again, it was kind of rushed. That just very again. Oh yeah, and by the way, they gave him a jaw that can unhinge and retractable fangs that can invent
Yeah.
venom into an enemy. It's like that. That just kind of all came out of no. They. I felt like that came on a little too much without enough foreshadowing, and it just seemed kind of inconsistent with the rest of the tone of stuff. But Anyway,
Yeah,
that was one of those other things that I was like,
but that was
all
kind of,
right,
I
I'll
think
give it
that
to
I
you.
threw that with the parse, the sort of quick ending.
Hmm.
Maybe his editor is like, you need to shorten
Yeah,
this up a bit. It's like, okay, or had it hit
yeah.
a
If
deadline.
there'd been a little more build up to that, if they
Hmm.
hinted more than just the eyes, like they could have referenced, well, he's raking his tongue on his teeth, and he's like, what's wrong with my teeth? Or what's that
Hmm.
weird taste?
Yep. Hmm. That's cool. Yeah, it
My
definitely
cheek,
makes me want.
my cheeks seem a little puffier than they used to be. What's going on with that?
But I thought it was like a delay. Wasn't it like a delayed um, modification? Like it took some time to.
Yeah, they did say something about that. About it was,
I don't know.
it was because it was genetic modification. It takes time for the cells to die off and
Yeah,
be replaced with
the new stuff.
new
Yeah, well,
stuff.
that's cool. Well, any comments, Arlen, to BJ's comments? I'll let you
No,
share.
I agree with basically everything. I do think there's a the ending. I mean, it's I didn't find the the reveal, the big reveal of Tanner Mirabelle actually being um Kahuya or Sky Houseman to be like surprising when it happened. And I think that's sort
Yeah,
of the
Yeah, I was more sub.
probably
Yeah.
the there's like I don't know necessarily because I think it's interesting, right? It's a really fine line to walk of having the amount of like uh the amount of sort of material to suggest the twist before it happens that you could put it together, but also having it be unforeseen so that when it happens, it's like, oh, I'm now realizing all these things that fit together in this way that I didn't understand before in a way
yeah,
that feels like that's the for a setting called Revelation Space, the revelation itself is a little underwhelming. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. I think
I
that's sort of the thing you want in these kind of plot twists is you want to immediately like slap your forehead and go, oh my gosh, I should have seen that coming.
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think it was more the biggest to me, the biggest surprise in that book was the alien spaceship. I really was buying, that there was like another like a ghost ship out there, like
Hmm.
another part of the colony that no one knew about and that they
Yeah,
had suppressed. But I thought
Hmm.
that was pretty
and and
that was
and,
interesting.
and I think it was still never 100% clear. Did this alien thing take the form of a ship to hide among the fleet, or did it infect an actual ship and recreate it
I think I think the
on a certain
implication
level?
is that it reshaped itself to hide because they talked about that was like a defensive
Yeah,
mechanism,
Mhm.
right? And then
yeah,
that's why one side of it is all damaged is because it was there when the ship that explodes exploded, and so that's
yeah,
what damaged one side of the organic ghost ship.
Yeah,
Um,
I think that's
yeah, yeah,
more a little more tragic that Sky destroyed that ship too, right? He destroyed the
mhm,
alien as well,
yeah,
as well as I guess he got rid of a lot of his potential immortal rivals when he
mhm.
shot people into
yeah.
space. But
Yeah. There was a nice exploration of a total sociopath, but how they view themselves.
right. Oh yeah.
No, this is necessary. No,
But I guess we
this
should
is
have
all justified. And you're like, you're a monster.
but I know maybe we should have gotten the hint when he was able to or not associate, but have an understanding with the deranged dolphins as
Yeah,
well, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Well, and that's another, it's kind of an odd thing where he creates the special electrical stimulus process for the assassin to turn himself into a divine being in the
Hmm.
assassin's eyes.
Right.
Um, but then also independently of him, because it's seemingly while he's asleep that the Skyhouseman cult on the planet becomes a religious
Yeah.
thing. And I expected that those two would be more like somehow those elements would dovetail in an interesting way, like that Sky Houseman going into hiding had also somehow like specifically created the cult as
Mm.
a means of like preparing for his return almost or something like
Mm.
that. And that
Interesting.
something had, as he had changed over the years, he had decided not to ever come back as
As
Sky Houseman.
Sky, yeah. Let him be kind of deified and post mortem, and have
Yeah, well,
that.
because that felt like that feels like totally appropriate to what the character is like when they arrive. That
Yeah.
he's got these kind of long-term plans for himself,
Hmm.
figuring out how to fake it, falsify his death so that nobody will be worried about him, but also have done all these things. Because that's the sort of uh perhaps the odd thing there also is that he does all these terrible things to get to the planet first it, while being consciously aware that he doesn't have like a way out, a solution aside from he's already planning to falsify his death by that point, basically,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
And so it's odd that he like doesn't analyze his own behavior and say, oh, well then why in the very kind of like deeply narcissistic manipulative position, right? The sort of psychopathic idea of why would I do anything for, right? If he's prepared to kill all those people, what is he doing it for if not his own fulfillment or edification or whatever else if he doesn't have a chance to uh live out
Live it
his
out. Yeah.
remarkable position. And that's part of why I thought, oh, well, he's done this thing to set himself up for eventually coming back. And then over the years, he has changed enough to decide not to do that. But
Yeah.
that's okay.
That's very interesting. Cool. Well, that was good. A fun second visitation of Chasm City, this time with BJ Boyd. And like I mentioned, our next book that we're going to review is Ice Henge by Kim Stanley Robinson. I mentioned that at the end of Chasm City, the Chasm City podcast. So BJ, I hope you can join us when we do that. Um, I think you might have to get it like secondhand, or I can get you my copy when I'm finished it, or however,
Yeah,
or get on
I'll probably
audio.
just get the. I'll probably just get the audio book. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, thanks for doing this, and Arlen, again, thank you for joining me. And I think it's going to be a really fun series,
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
looking at sort of sci-fi, hard sci-fi type books, and analyzing them, reviewing them. All right. Well, thanks for joining me, and I'll talk to you guys later.
See you later.
All right. Thank you all so much for listening to the GMologist Presents. Yes, we are going to do Kim Stanley Robinson's Ice Henge soon, I hope. I'm the one who's slacking on that front, and the three of us will get together and talk about it either here or on BJ's podcast, or maybe even dust off, bring out of cold storage Cerebro War. So we'll see, but look for that hopefully sooner rather than later. But again, thank you for listening. It's been the Geomologist Presents. If you have any comments on what we discussed, or Chasm City, or any Alistair Reynolds books, you can drop us a line at geomologist@gmail.com, or you can send me a direct message via Discord, or I have that other service that's on here where you can leave about a 1 minute message. I honestly forget what it's called, but the link is in the speak pipe. That's what it's called. The link is in the show notes. So thank you so much for listening. Again, the intro and outro music is by the incomparable TJ. My wife does the cover clip art. Good night and good rolling.